Hello everyone, it's Pastor Steve, and we're continuing our journey going cover to cover through the Bible, and now we are deep into the law. Today we're looking at February 16, going through Numbers chapter 8, and then we're going to go over to the book of Leviticus and look at the first 3 chapters. Before I go any further, I just want to say a word of thanks to Pastor Seth and Gary Michaelberger because they are doing a great job, and Gary in particular has a very academic approach. You can tell his great learning as he participates, and his use of the green screen and some graphics in back, very helpful to understand what is going on. I kind of go old school myself. Well, as we look at this chapter, and when you're looking at this section of the law, one can get bogged down. Now, I want you to have an overall 40,000-foot view that when you see these sacrifices, they ultimately are looking forward to Christ and His perfect sacrifice. So when you see it here, I want you to see the allusion to Christ. Gary has already pointed this out when he makes the allusion to the book of Hebrews as an example. In the book of Numbers, chapter 8, we read about the consecration of the priests and how the Levites, which is the priestly tribe, are going to be set apart or consecrated before the Lord, and how that is to take place. And a lot of it is ritual. It's literally washing, it is shaving, it is preparation. In some respects, you could think of it as a bride or a groom before a wedding and getting ready. It shows the significance of this. The Bible does place a high level of value on certain ceremonies, and these ceremonies convey an importance of what's taking place. I am a big fan of public weddings for this reason. I'm a big fan of public ordinations for this reason, because it's making a communal covenant. Now, one of the things that you'll take note of is that the community, the whole Israel community, is supposed to lay hands on the priests. Now, at church sometimes, I'll ask everyone, could you all raise your hand and aim it towards the person we're praying for? That stems from this idea that a community can participate. But I also want you to take note of that when we get to the book of Leviticus, what we see here in this picture is a man placing his hand on the sheep. Now, in that, there is an understanding that this animal is going to die because of my sin. And when I place my hands on that animal, it is understood that it cost something. This lays a foundation. When we come to faith in Christ, what are we acknowledging? That His death was necessary for our salvation. And so what you see here is an image of, you might say, an anticipation of what is going to happen with Christ. Now, another thing you pick up, particularly as we move now into Leviticus, let me ask you, what sheep are you supposed to surrender? Is it the scrawny one? The ugly one? No. It's supposed to be the best. And it's a male animal. And you might say, why is it a male animal? Well, many think it's because the female animals were more valuable alive, giving birth and milk. We don't really know, except again, it prefigures what ultimately be in Jesus, our Messiah. But the best is supposed to be given. Now, you're going to see this phrase a lot as we go through the book of Leviticus, a pleasing aroma before the Lord. It's not like the Lord loves scented candles and just, oh, that's a nice smell. No, the primary focus here is it pleases the Lord. What pleases the Lord? Obedience. Because when a people are willing to give their best and sacrifice it before the Lord, it conveys an attitude of the heart. an attitude of submission, an attitude of humility. Now, there's another element that mentions, and that is it must be salted. So salt is only mentioned a few times in the book of Leviticus. What is the significance of salt? Well, most scholars think salt is a preservative, and it speaks of the enduring quality of the covenant. What is this covenant? That God actually arranged for his people a means by which they could be clean. Now, a few things to show you. I know you won't be able to see this well in your screen, but I want to point it out. Now, you can find this on the internet, and it's a good guide. Sacrificial offerings. And here's what's described. A burnt offering, a grain offering, a peace offering, sin, guilt offerings, object offered, and it mentions what kind of animals. God gets what he's supposed to be sacrificed. The priest gets, and the worshiper gets. And so you see some descriptions, and some of it is just practical, that the priest has a means of food, because his job is not working on the farm. His job is literally providing for the people in terms of the what would be called the cult of the religion. In other words, the activities that are necessary for the faith. And the people, by giving their animal, they're also feeding the priests. And then finally, these are the kinds of animals used in sacrifices. Birds, sheep, male goat, ewe lamb, red heifer, pigeon or turtle dove, heifer, ram, bullock, lamb, young bullock. These are the kinds of things that are described. Don't get bogged down in every detail. Keep your eye on the prize, which is all these things ultimately point to Christ, our need for forgiveness, and God's mercy to forgive. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow.